Hey, and I want to welcome everybody to the big picture and welcome to the holiday season. We are doing it live here. I'm really in the Midwest right now. I know Chris is probably down there in sunny Florida, but we're going to bring some really, really good information today. We got some treats. Chris has promised treats today. I cannot wait to hear what he's talking about. So, Chris, get us introduced today.
Grant, so great to see you. And yeah, I am down in South Florida. I spent the last few days up in Chicago, and I'm much happier to be here in South Florida. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So I have a bunch of things. I have like the news you probably don't hear anywhere else. So I want to update a few things. But first, I want to start with high tech in history.
Yeah.
Okay. So we know we have the holiday season coming as you have, and it's also a very religious time. And for me, one of the most famous people in history is Moses. You know, great prophet, messenger of God.
Yeah.
And by the way, the first man with a tablet who downloaded information from the cloud.
I never thought of it that way, but you are absolutely right. Isn't that wonderful?
So you see how far tech goes back, and now since I am in Florida, just a little fact about Florida and everything. You know, what animal would you call the apex predator of the rivers and swamps here in Florida?
Well, it's got to be the crocodile, alligator, right?
Well, alligator for sure. You know, and alligators, crocodiles also are really living relics from the dinosaur age. They've been virtually unchanged for more than 200 million years. But the one thing that they are not is disrespectful.
Right.
And why? Because alligators cannot stick their tongues out. It's stationary. Okay.
You got jokes today. I see it.
Yeah, had a few things lined. Anyway, get that out of the way. I want to just bring people up to date on a few interesting news items that I saw. There's a U.S. company named Starcatcher. Okay.
Okay.
And they have actually been the first now to wirelessly beam electricity down from space to NASA, Kennedy Space Center. Okay, this is their first trial, and they were able to bring down 1.1 kilowatt down to Kennedy Space Center. So the implications of this are so grand and bold. Can you imagine that all our electric power comes wirelessly beamed down from space? And really, you could talk about unlimited solar energy down on Earth. Now, what kind of an impact would that have?
It would have been great impact. I've been wondering about that. We live in a sea of endless energy, yet we have a scarcity of energy. You wonder, like, I think we're disconnected. So somebody's trying to make that connection. So I'm all for it, Chris.
Well, good. Company to keep your eye on. Another quick, interesting fact that has economic implications is, you know, these two wonder kind of drugs, the peptides that are used for losing weight and also for people with diabetes, Ozempic and Wegovy, right? Wegovy, you see a lot, both of them, you see a lot of commercials on TV now. Well, studies are showing now that they have multiple age-related benefits, including liver and kidney disease, because what they found in the studies now is it slows organ wear and tear. Okay, so just think about how massive the unlock could be for both health and the economy.
Absolutely. I'm all about that. I'm into health, wealth, and finance. So you're hitting on all three of those cylinders, actually.
There you go. So keep your eye on those. Those drugs might not just be losing weight alone, although they're certainly quite popular for that, right? But I think the peptide market in general, we're just kind of scratching the surface of what some of these things can do, right? Okay, let's move on to a little bit of finance because I did your health part. Now I got to do your finance part. So just in the last week, the U.S. Senate committee drafted legislation that provides the authority to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, to regulate digital commodities on the spot market.
Mm-hmm.
So just like you trade, and like I said, I was just in Chicago last week, right? Which is where I heard this news because, of course, you have the mercantile exchange there where you trade commodities, right? Things
Right.
like pork
Right.
bellies and corn, right? So just imagine now we have the digital commodities coming online there, and now there's a structure for them to actually be traded. So I thought that was real interesting.
Interesting news coming out of Mercantile in Chicago. The market's there a little bit different. Yeah, yeah.
Great. Got another one for you that I thought was real interesting. Visa, right?
Mm.
And who doesn't have a Visa? That they're so saturated in their market. Well, they've actually have done a pilot now, which allows businesses and financial platforms to send USD backed stable coins directly to stablecoin wallets. Now it's not live for the public and everything. It's in trials. But now we've been talking, how many times, Grant, we've been talking about the changes that stable coins will bring?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So now you have a major player in payments and of course in the credit card market on board with stable coins.
They see the light. Visa's like, we're not going to be left behind. You got to
Nope.
stay up to date in all these financial models.
And you're right, because being left behind is being left out.
And no one wants to be left, especially out of the financial circle, right? You want to be at the top of the circle. You want to be wielding that circle if you can, right? But you definitely don't want to be left out. So I like that Visa said, hey, don't leave home without us.
There you go. And take your stable coins too. There you go.
That's exactly right.
Now let's get to the IRS, right? Because really very interesting guidance came out of the IRS last week also, which gives ETPs, and ETFs, right? But ETPs in particular, electronically traded products, right? ETP. Yep. It gives them a clear path now to be able to stake digital assets and share the staking returns and rewards, right? So it removes a major barrier that has prevented institutions like banks from really being able to provide kind of the service that banks have always provided, which is put your money in my bank and we'll dribble you a little bit of interest back and you'll be happy, right? Now, the IRS is giving guidance out that will allow these institutions to, when you bring your digital assets in, you'll be able to stake them and they'll dribble you a little interest return on those too, right? But it's progress, and it shows that the policies going into place in the US in particular today are really all about keeping us at the forefront of innovation and keeping us in the forefront of what goes on in cryptocurrency and stable coins in particular, right? So, not to be outdone, I like my international.
No, I'm about to say you're missing one key component. The world. What is the world looking at?
So I like my international, and I got one for you. Bank of England, right, which is basically the central bank of the UK. Big week last week, right, published a paper on how the regulatory system would be set up for a British pound-based stablecoin.
They can't be left out either.
That's another. I can't be left out. Now, I think it's a good thing, but I think that the impact really will be targeted. Let's say, okay, one regionally, which will be the UK and maybe some of the EU, and I feel the same way about the euro-backed stablecoins. Great for Europe, for the eurozone, but not a lot of application beyond that. The British pound, though, is just a bit different because the old saying from a couple of centuries ago, I guess, the sun never sets on the British Empire.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yes.
But because of that, you have a lot of countries out there, former colonies mostly, right, that are still active with the British pound. So they may get some additional play with a sterling-backed stable coin in a lot of those countries and a lot of those territories also, right? So it's kind of interesting. So we did a lot of talk about this. You know, the biggest buzzword in technology
What is
today,
that? Yeah. Well, AI. There's got to be.
AI. So
Yeah.
let's talk AI, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, have you been watching, Grant? There is an AI arms race of huge proportions going on.
Yeah. For
Okay.
sure.
So let's talk about the big tech five, right? So, you
Okay.
know, Meta, which is Facebook, right? Google, Amazon, Microsoft, right? What these guys are have spent this year and are planning to spend next year just on AI is incredible to me. Okay. So
Mhm.
Apple, right?
Yeah.
Apple has spent this year $15 billion on AI and is budgeting 25 billion for next year.
Wow.
These are billions with a B, right?
Yeah. Big money.
And with Apple, it's kind of interesting because they want to build. It's for them. It's about hardware. It's about equipment, right? So they want to build AI servers to power Apple Intelligence, right? So that makes
Mhm.
sense. And they want to, of course, put more AI into your Apple phones and
Everything
whatever.
you're using. Yes.
So, okay, not to be outdone, let's talk about Meta, right? Whose AI budget this year was $72 billion.
Ooh. Big number.
Bigger, 2026, 115 billion.
Oh man, they're going for hey. That's they
That's
got they're on this 100. That's a lot. That's $200 billion. Wow.
in two companies. But there's more.
Of
A
course.
lot more, right? Google can't be left out, right? We talk about being left out. Google doesn't want to be left out, right? And by the way, Google's latest AI come out. Has ChatGPT actually worried?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so
okay.
that's a different story. But
Yeah.
Google this year spent $93 billion
Just this year,
just this
2025,
year,
on its AI.
and they haven't given a number they've budgeted for next year. But the executives there say a significant increase for 2026.
I
Okay,
want to see the innovations that come out of all these things.
well,
Like, how does it change the end user experience? What is this going to really look like?
well, and it's. I got two more for you because we're talking the big five, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Microsoft can't forget
And of
Microsoft. No,
course,
mm-mm.
Copilot. Yeah.
No, Microsoft this year 80 billion, next year 120 billion. A 50% increase.
These are humongous numbers.
Okay. And of course, who do you think is on top of the pile? Gotta be Amazon.
Got to be Amazon. They got
Gotta
big
be.
money.
So Amazon this year, $125 billion they spent on AI projects. And they're expecting next year for that figure to be $160 billion.
Well, there's a huge race. I don't know who's and they're all after the consumer. That's us. And
Absolutely.
how they going to augment, change, uplift, you know, and what that whole AI experience is going to be like. And here's the thing: there's a big bet, right? There was a big bet on the metaverse, and people are going to adopt the metaverse. It didn't work out as well. They're betting big on AI, generative AI. It's still rolling the dice because you're just not sure how the crowd and the herd is going to move. And it really is going to be the best, to me, it's the best user experience that comes out of the pack. And we'll see what that looks like.
Well, Grant, I certainly don't disagree with anything you just said there, but I will tell you, if you look at the track record of those five companies, this is not a bet.
Mm.
Okay, they're winners. They don't bet, right?
Well, they're going in. They've already probably tested. They got the pilots out there, the POC,
Oh,
proof of concept, and they feel pretty bullish about it. Is what it sounds
well,
like to me.
people forget that Amazon has been using some form of AI for more than 15 years.
Yeah.
And the greatest example, the easiest example is I go online to buy this tie, and right
Mm-hmm.
away it shows me shirts, pants, and suits,
Other things, yes.
bags, handkerchiefs, everything that matches with it. And
Right.
and what Amazon found is just by doing that, right? They've increased the point of sale items numbers 39%.
I'm gonna hold your moment because we're gonna go to break right quick. We're gonna come back because this whole episode is going to be around, especially as we go forward. It's about these brand wars, making winners out of losers. Yeah.
Let me just finish this because I just got one more sentence to give you.
What's that?
Okay. We're talking well over $500 billion that these 5 companies are investing, right? The biggest parts of their investment, why I say it's not a bet, is into AI infrastructure.
Oh, that's where it's at.
Like data centers and these things, which they believe, and the analysts have said, could be $1 trillion frontier.
Well, you're going to need that. And I've been in the data center space a long time. I understand technology infrastructure. I'm talking 20, 30 years of my experience has been into that. It's going to be interesting. And you just brought up something in your first thing you talked about is bringing, how are we going to tap into cosmic energy in order to fuel these things without upsetting the ecosystem. That is going to be interesting as we dabble into things that we may not know a lot about. We're going to make a quick break. We're going to come back because we got a lot to unpack here. All right. Come back with us about brand wars.
Follow the Brand TV broadcast host, Grant McGaugh, as he visits with top executives and entrepreneurs to find out their secrets of success with their personal brand. Follow the Brand TV broadcast host as he focuses on brand development to build better relationships, bring value to your business, relationships, and career. You will enjoy listening to each episode that is tailored to speak to you directly. If you're looking for this type of clarity in terms of building your brand, you have tuned into the right station. Each episode will help you to shape a conversation in the 5-star BDM network of 20,000 professionals and become a springboard for your corporate engagement and business opportunities. Each guest will frame their story in the areas of personal branding, business development, career development, financial empowerment, and technology innovation. Grant McGaugh explains why he is the CEO and owner of his own professional career. Grant is an accomplished business leader and entrepreneur who wants to give back to individuals to grow their personal brand strategy. Tune in as he weaves his story about new possibilities, while to you exceed expectations. If you love storytelling, this show will make for fun.
All right, we are back. And I want to tell you guys, I always love talking to Chris because he always brings, some very interesting topics. He brought this up to me about brand wars, making winners and losers. And he just mentioned Amazon and their betting big and how they kind of operate. And everybody remembers, if you're a little older, Sears. Sears was in there. So you had Amazon, Sears was first, then Amazon. There's a lot of things people don't understand, that they both definitely had catalogs and things like that, but somebody got the tech right. I would say they got the tech right, and they were able to exceed and expand far beyond anyone else's thoughts about where this company could go. So I want to bring Chris in. He's just itching to talk about these brand wars. Give it to me, Chris.
Well, Grant, you're exactly right. There is a certain correlation between Sears and Amazon. What Sears did in their days to what Amazon is still doing, right? So let's start off with just a little bit of history here, right? So people can properly understand, because a lot of people might not be as familiar with Sears as, say, you and I were, because it was so prevalent back in our day, right? So 1886 is when the Sears and Roebuck stores started, right? Not the stores, sorry. The catalog, because they started with a catalog, okay? And what they found is, by mailing out the catalogs, especially to rural America, who was trapped at only being able to buy from their local general store, right, which had higher prices, bad selection, ran out of things, right? They found that by them offering this massive mail order calendar, that they could bring the store to the farm, right? Mm-hmm. Kind of interesting idea. So the original catalog was called the Consumer's Bible.
Nice.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, a couple of years thereafter, they started at Christmas time, starting 12 weeks before Christmas, by mailing out the Wish Book. Okay. Now, when I was a kid, this was like super exciting times, because this was really the only place that you could see everything that there was, because they had like this huge toy section.
Yeah.
Right. And you get the catalog, go through, circle what you wanted. And I can even remember some years, I hate to say this, but I would actually rip out the page with my favorite toy so no one else could see it and get it.
I've done that.
So where's the beauty in all this? Okay, well, first of all of a sudden, Sears had a whole new sales force. Every kid is a sales agent for Sears, and they're unpaid. They're the sales agents to their parents, right? Mm-hmm. By circling items, we show commitment and desire triggers, right? Real important in branding, right?
Very, 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 very important.
Right? Parents can't disappoint, right? Especially at Christmas time. How do you say no, right?
Yes.
So it kept Sears top of mind for the 12 plus weeks before Christmas, right? Pretty interesting.
Smart. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just give you a little bit of numbers, right? The first catalog was 80 pages. 10 years later, it was 1,200 pages for the Wish Book at Christmas time.
So it must have worked, yeah.
Yeah. So they bypassed retail real estate expense entirely. They reached 40% of American homes through the mail. Rural customers had zero alternatives, so they were in it. The Wish Book was literally multi-generational marketing gold, Grant, right? Mailed to 15 million homes in its peak. The average home kept it 3 to 4 months, right? Each catalog produced $300 on the average worth of orders from each catalog.
Big number, especially then, yeah.
$5 billion is the number for the holiday season for Sears out of this, and it cost between $3 and $5 to mail it and print it. Return on investment, like 10,000%. Not bad for retail.
Not bad at all.
Right? So in Sears' peak dominance, right? They had 1 out of every 200 Americans worked for Sears.
No, that's dominance. Yes.
Right. This is the early 60s, right? That's unbelievable. They were also the first one to start. When in our prep, Grant, you told a little story that just happened to you recently, which I think speaks to the reversal in Sears. But Sears was the first company to make a clear guarantee, satisfaction guaranteed, or your money back.
Yes.
Revolutionary at the time, right? And they offered that at significantly lower prices than everyone. They didn't open their first store till 1925.
Believe that.
Pretty
Wow.
incredible, right? And they're responsible for a lot of iconic brands, right? Kenmore, Craftsman, Die Hard, right? They had the Sears credit card, which 60% of America had a Sears card at one point, right?
That was the big one. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Discover is a part of that. I mean,
Well,
they had great
with
credit. Yeah.
yeah. Caldwell Bankers, Allstate Insurance, Dean Witter, right? These are all financial services companies that they had. Okay, so what happened with all this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what happened? I mean, you're talking about a place that out of every 3 Americans shopped at in its heyday. Anyway, so what happened? 1995, significant year for 2 reasons.
Mm-hmm.
You might remember, or maybe not, that was the year that Amazon started, 1995.
Uh-huh.
It was also the year, in the wisdom of Sears management, that they decided they'd rather save $300 million of printing costs by canceling and killing the catalog, the wish book, than to continue it. So
Whoa.
this was really where the downfall started, right? Why would they do that, right? I mean,
because you just told us the success, and then you said we're going to just stop doing what fed us for 100 years, right?
Exactly. So that's like a big thing, right? Now, if you think about all this, and we go back to 1995 when Sears killed the wish book, Sears dominated because mail order. Mail order was basically the internet for almost 100 years before the internet, right? And exactly the same year they killed the wish book, Amazon started. So what did Amazon need to do? Well, Amazon came out with their own catalog in 2018, which, by the way, is also the year Sears filed bankruptcy. With $11 billion in debt, right? A lot of correlation, right? So Amazon now sends out 30 million plus catalogs by mail, all over the US, right? They cost them $1.50 a catalog, and each one generates over $100 per order. That's about 3,000%. Still not so bad, right? Still not so bad, right? Now, kids still are circling the toys, but now there's a QR code so the parents can immediately, they don't have to go looking at this QR code and pay.
Popped right into Amazon. Boom.
Right? Now, Sears needed 4 to 6 weeks of delivery. Amazon, 24 hours. But the same ritual, but zero friction. Yeah, it's Amazon. Right?
That's it.
I see you, Amazon. Okay. So that what Sears also lost was a huge amount of customer data. They lost the connection with their customers. Amazon, though, now tracks the catalogs, right? They can tell what pages the kids are staring at the longest, which tells them what toys are probably going to be the new trends. They look and they know what the parents actually buy. So they're in on the trends before they're even trends, right? It's really, every catalog is a predictive intelligence gatherer worth millions, maybe billions, right?
That's
really interesting
ingenuity. That's a lot of ingenuity, a lot of innovation, thinking out of not the box. You're taking the playbook out of somebody who existed for 100 years, who actually started, playing a different game. It seemed like this is the game is to engage your consumer at like I said, at a frictionless point, and then you can transact business.
Now, if you know Amazon, what's the service that they push the most?
Prime.
Amazon Prime, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So listen to this, right? The catalog recipients renew their Prime memberships at a 96% rate, which is worth $35 billion of Prime subscriptions.
And who would do that to save on delivery? You get it pays for itself. It was very smart. Why wouldn't you pay $99 or whatever it is at the beginning of the year and get free shipping for the whole year? And you get a free subscription to their TV, to Amazon Television, to all kinds of movies. I mean, it's just, yeah, they nailed it.
So over the last 25 years, right? Sears saved at $300 million worth of printing and abandoned about $750 billion in revenue, and Amazon picked up every dollar.
Let me cut off my nose in spite of my face. I mean, wow.
So in reality, the Wish book never died. It just changed owners.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And here's the irony. You know, Sears in 1973, to celebrate their dominance, built the Sears Tower, the tallest building in the world,
I
in
remember
Chicago.
Sears Tower for sure.
Right? Right?
Yeah, Chicago. You just came back from there.
Amazon is also a prolific builder, but they build warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
There's over 250 warehouses spread around the country, right?
Yep.
So what does that tell me? That tells me that physical plus digital beats digital alone.
Yes, absolutely. You still live in the physical world. I think they get that right. We're going to start learning about that. We're going to go to a quick break. We're going to come right back. But what you just alluded to is something that I've been pushing for probably this entire year. That is, it's human intelligence plus AI. It's HAI. You cannot take the human out of the equation. Once you start doing that, you're going off on a tangent. You may fall into the metaverse world. I don't know, all that kind of stuff, that hype cycle, but you cannot discount the human element. We're going to come right back. We're going to expound on that and really double down on what you're talking about. Be right back.
In today's fast-paced financial landscape, access to capital is the key to success. At the heart of this revolution is Case Capital Markets, powered by SETI Case. Here, innovation and investment converge, creating a dynamic environment where businesses can thrive and reach new heights. Introducing Grant McGaw, the Senior Advisor at Case Capital Markets. Grant is a visionary leader, dedicated to connecting businesses with institutional capital and strategic funding. His expertise opens doors to game-changing investment opportunities, making him an invaluable partner for companies looking to scale and succeed in the competitive world of finance. With an impressive 25 years in technology, 9 years in healthcare, and 6 years in investment banking, Grant McGaw has a proven track record. He has successfully closed over $500 million in high-value transactions, seamlessly bridging technology, healthcare, and infrastructure with innovative financial solutions. His experience is a testament to his ability to drive success. Case Capital Markets offers businesses direct access to over 32,000 venture capital firms, private equity funds, family offices, and institutional investors. This network empowers mid-market companies with under $100 million in revenue to scale beyond their limits, unlocking unprecedented growth potential. Debt, equity, growth capital, public offerings. These are the building blocks of the future of capital access. Whether you're scaling a business, seeking investment, or exploring market expansion, Grant McGaw is your trusted partner. Together, you can unlock capital and create long-term financial success. The future belongs to those who take action. Are you ready to elevate your business?
All right, my buddy Chris, we've been, really, what you just brought up around Sears and the history, Amazon, the correlations, how one went up, one's going down. Can you imagine Sears being bankrupt? After their huge meteoric rise, how they said all these people that were employed, how they were just ingratiated in the American society, and then just by a misstep, a miscalculation, a major miscalculation, you've allowed a new competitor to desert. Remember, Amazon doesn't make anything. They just have a great platform. And because they have a great platform and distribution model, they're kings.
Well, keep in mind, Amazon in reality is a logistics company. They're really great at delivering stuff. Absolutely, great at delivering stuff. So I just want to repeat one thing that I said earlier. Amazon has taken the physicality that Sears brought to America, right? About being able to send catalogs out and be able to ship your orders directly to you wherever you are at the most remote farm in America, they could do it, right? And added the whole digital experience, which was their platform, to it. And it just shows physical plus digital beats digital alone, right? But it's really, Grant, about owning the customer relationship, not just the transaction.
Yeah.
What's your thought?
Oh, 100%. 100. It's all about the experience of the end user. What are they doing? How you just brought it up? Big thing. Why are they sending out these catalogs and then want to collect data around where you're at, what you're looking at, so they can serve you better? And because they have a digital footprint that allows them to do that, they're understanding behavior. Once you understand behavior, you can then kind of anticipate or predict where that behavior is going to go in the future. What can we double down on? You said something earlier about AI and all these investments in AI, because all of a sudden no one saw this kind of happening. When OpenAI came out. Now you got to remember this, that artificial intelligence has been around a very, very long time. It's just has not been at scale as it is now. It came out when there was no cloud computing, there was no social media platforms, there was no mobile compute, right? But now you start pulling all these things together. Now artificial intelligence is like, wow, I have all this enormous amount of data. How can I utilize that data at scale and deliver it at speed? Voila, that is what AI is. AI is nothing more than math. It's data and information transacting at super high speeds, far beyond human calculation. But then how do you then serve the human experience with this incredible technology that you have? And that's where we're going into now. And you're going to see some winners and losers. I want to take you back just a little bit during the last kind of boom that happened around this, when the internet really got speed, because there's another thing that was taking place in 1995. And I recall this, having this thing going, it was a modem, 56K modem, and it would make this weird noise, and that's how you got the AOL, right? And you got this thing online. It was butt ugly when you looked at it, but look at where it's at now. And then when they got higher speeds, and then when they got regulation around e-commerce, and that, no one would put a credit card, at that time. But when that started to happen, and you said the more traditional institutionalized players got involved, it became a trusted platform. You got trust now. Now I'm trusting it. Look what came out of that. Look at the explosion of these digital companies, your eBays, your Amazon, your Ubers. All of this is from the digital platform that everybody now trusts, and you can get to it very easily, not just at your desktop, not your physical location, your mobile location, your all these tablets and all these different ways that you can now communicate. Now, but we don't always know. It was kind of one way, right? We couldn't communicate, transact between both of them. Two-way communication. AI really is two-way communication at speed, where you've got now an intelligence or simulated intelligence that can now interact with you find out what you like, find out why you like it. You're like, oh, by the way, I can take this information and feed it back to all these other entities and really make Chris's Christmas really light up because I'm so tuned in what he truly likes, what he truly trusts, and what he truly knows, right? And to deliver that experience at scale. This is a game-changing moment for us.
Well, Grant, you're right. And when you just brought it up, I mean, that the sound of the AOL is already ringing in my head from every single day hearing it. But also very interesting. You know how old AI is because if you just look in the movies, right, and you go to any science fiction movie, the robot that could walk and talk, okay, use of AI right there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it was in the movies, but it was already being thought of, already something that we should be thinking about and looking to do. Now, the other interesting thing I find with Amazon in particular is all their newer ventures now are what I would call multi-generational products, right? So they're building an infrastructure and things today that is not to serve, it will serve us, but is more looking to serve our great grandchildren. They're planning to be around that long. Okay, pretty extraordinary because typical American business, and I'm from New York City. A lot of friends that work down in Wall Street. It's all about the quarter, right?
Yeah.
Good quarter, my shares go up. Bad quarter, my shares go down. I care about the quarter. And they're thinking more than 100 years out. So it's incredible, I think.
I think, and I want to know something, because you're bringing up some history and you're bringing about some things that we need to truly understand as we go forward. Especially, remember, Google was just a search engine on the internet. It was a way, talk about cataloging information, right? To get to show you things that you didn't know about very quickly. But I'm going to throw some names out there that you might not even remember, because Google, before it was Google as we know it, was one of these companies, but they exploded. I'm talking about companies like Excite, Ask Jeeves, people might remember, Webcrawler, Hotbot, Dogpile, Go.com, Lycos, and we talked about American Online. They were the front runners. AOL was like the front runner. If you didn't have AOL, you didn't have internet, right? Right?
Yep. Biggest news was that Times AOL merger, which was the disaster, right? That was big news.
It was huge news. I'm saying that because that's why they're doubling down with so much investment right now. We don't really know who's going to be the true winner at the end of this brand war or this AI adoption war that's going on right now. I remember DeepSeek came out of China, right? And had a platform, only $6 million. These guys are spending billions, $6 million that I can replicate what you're doing. This can change rapidly. And being in the tech space for 30 plus years, we always said technology changes about every 12 to 18 months. Now, we said that 20 years ago. So you can imagine right now, it changes probably every 6 to 9 months. So what is that going to look like? Who's going to really win at the end of the day? As you said, everybody counted Google out. And then now you got Google Gemini. They kind of look clumsy coming out of there. People aren't searching, on Google as much anymore. They're getting into the AI space. They're coming out. Well, Gemini Veo, as far as video right now, is probably a little bit better than Sora 2 on OpenAI. And OpenAI is taking a long time to really deploy it widely because it's only on Apple. Gemini is really doubling down and blowing. And remember this real critical advantage that Google has, and that is in the workspace. Things that you already have been doing on Google, whether you're creating slide decks or you're creating documents, and you're creating these things, and now you can incorporate AI. Microsoft sees that with Copilot. You know what? We've got the suite already. Now we just need to incorporate more AI into it. But you got to remember, human behavior can be unpredictable. They might think of that as being old. Think Harley Davidson. It's still a motorcycle, but it's not that cool anymore for the younger generation. So because of that, you might say, yeah, Dad, you can have your Microsoft. Oh, yeah, my older brother, you can have your Gemini. I'm going in this direction. Be aware of that as these newer generations, and we alluded to it. You talked about it even in one of our shows or last show, like the African continent with a younger generation. They're only 20 years old. They're mobile ready. What do they like to use? It may not be these platforms. So it's still an open window.
Well, Grant, I mean, you just touched on like everything I like and love. Okay.
Yeah.
So Google was not the first search engine out there. Now it's the present one. In fact, Sam Altman, who's the CEO of ChatGPT memo, where he said that Gemini 3 from Google can cause them some rough future up ahead until they catch up. So they've obviously seen and know something that we need to find out about, Grant. So
100%.
Let me give you a couple of winners or losers, and we can chat a little bit about them.
Go right ahead.
Good. So the first one, everyone remembers Blockbuster, right? And Blockbuster killed late fees. That was one of their things. But Netflix did mail order DVDs and killed them. And now Netflix killed DVDs by streaming everything.
Exactly.
And their retention on subscriptions is also an amazing number.
And what you said there, I want them to understand what you just said. Hold on just 1 second, Chris. Platform. When you choose a platform, you lock yourself in. VHS, Beta. Beta was actually a better product per se, but VHS had better branding, and people liked it.
All
and
the
they just said, yeah. So once you lock yourself in a platform, be aware that at any point in time, that platform might not be the platform of choice, and you have to be aware of that. Remember MySpace. MySpace was before Facebook. It did the same thing, but Facebook took off.
Yeah, after Facebook, they didn't live very long. So that's another winner and loser. Okay,
Yeah.
So we know the story of Kodak, right? They refused to sell digital cameras, even though they actually invented them, right? And then digital cameras themselves were replaced by Instagram, right? Who uses a camera now?
Right. Nobody.
And that's exactly to your point on platforms, right? Tower Records, they controlled the music retail business. Spotify made all music available. It's Tower Who now, right?
Wait, right. Who? What?
Here's a good one that you'll know, but you might not have thought about, right? Because when we were young, they used to have the commercials on TV, and you had the door-to-door guys, right? Encyclopedia Britannica charged $1,400 for a set of encyclopedias. My parents had one, right?
I did too. Yeah.
But Wikipedia made it free.
Done. Hey, Chris, I need to stop you right there, because what you just said there, I want people to really think about this, because once information, data becomes a commodity, start thinking about all the businesses who made their money on being able to distribute data to you or distribute information to you for a price. That price now is at a commodity level. Start thinking about your Deloittes. Start thinking about your EY. Start thinking about these big four consulting agencies. Start thinking about the finance world. If only thing they were giving you was data and information, guaranteed that's going to change in how it's delivered.
Well, Grant, I think you're certainly onto something there. And when we speak about data, I got another one for you. You might not have thought about. The Yellow Pages was a $14 billion monopoly.
Yeah.
right? No competition.
None.
And to your friends that you mentioned earlier, Google search destroyed them.
Yeah. Yeah, you can get it. You can get information very quickly. Why are you going to run around with a 5 pound, yellow page book? And where are you going to put this thing? And it was sitting right there by the touch tone telephone, right? It doesn't exist any longer. And it's no longer useful.
I got to tell you, when I was like 5 or 6 years old, I loved the yellow pages when they came because I would go through the yellow pages to look at pictures of trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're on your phone, get trucks all day. Or I remember going to now that you had the white pages and the yellow pages, I would look for our name. Well, I want to see my house in the telephone book, right?
Yeah.
The whole 9X thing. And then you start thinking about this with telephone companies themselves, how they've morphed and changed, but some of them have maintained themselves even after divestiture because they adapted to change. They're still relevant today. I don't know too many people walk around without this. This is, and then we still call it a telephone, but really it's a mobile computer. It's what it is. And the telephony portion of that is an application, but it's a very needed application. You have to still have, and I will double down on what I said earlier, just like I'm talking to Chris right now. You cannot discount the human to human interaction. I don't care how much AI can do that. I could simulate Chris, right? But it's not Chris, and we need to understand that as we go down this AI world, certain things, yes, you can clone Chris for certain things. Maybe it's for an advertisement. Sure, that happens all the time. It's not a big deal. However, the human interaction, the value of that will never go away. People like buying from people, and then you just want to make it easier in the back end.
Grant, it's really interesting because I feel in a lot of ways that human interaction has gone away, and maybe there's an opportunity with AI to start bringing some of that back. Because I look at the kids today, and there's all these apps that they use. But when I was a kid, growing up in Manhattan, we met on the street. Everyone you saw was on the street. Everything was face to face. There was no other option.
Yeah. And you know who you're dealing with. And, we got to look things like, I always look at, remember, I've been in technology a long time. There's platforms, nothing wrong with that. But the platform is supposed to uplift you. That's what a platform is all about. You said something on top of that. What I'm sitting on top of that is the human being, right? The human intelligence is far more complex and far more sophisticated than anything we can make in AI. I want to uplift that human experience, give it the opportunity to expand and to be all it can become and enjoy. So we can get into a creative cycle of experience here and then being utilized these tools like now. Television used to be on 3 stations, maybe 4 if you're lucky. Then you had cable. Now it's everywhere. Me and Chris are on television. And it costs pennies on the dollar. We're not talking about major expenses. So a lot of things, data and information becomes commodities. What then becomes premium? Premium becomes your applied knowledge. Premium becomes your wisdom. How did you express? How did you interpret? How did you see that experience? That's why I always liked physics when I was in school. I only got a C in it. I tell you, I only got a C, but I loved that class because there was never a wrong answer. It was all about how did you get to that answer. I don't care. If you can show me how you got to that answer and it made logical sense, you would get a good grade. We got to get back to applied wisdom and applied knowledge because data and information is going to be a commodity.
Well, Grant, I'm glad you brought up physics because it is an interesting topic. But school in general, everyone says, "Oh, I don't need to study biology. Oh, I don't need to study trigonometry. I'm not going to use that." But what they don't realize, it's not okay. If you're going to be a mathematician, you need trigonometry, right?
Sure.
Other than that, though, what it does for you is it trains the way you think. Mm-hmm. It helps your investigative powers. It helps you form concepts and ideas because you had that kind of learning experience. And it's so valuable, and these kids just are pushing it aside now.
And that really comes down to as parents, as the ones who is living in this particular generation of experience, that we got to really help them understand the value, right, of applied knowledge. You can get an answer quickly, just like a calculator. We've had calculators since the 1950s. They didn't replace math. Sorry to tell you, because you do need to apply it in your life, how things work, and understand how things actually work, so then you can create new things. Because once you stop being creative and you stop being innovative, you stop. Look at Sears. What happened to Sears? They stopped.
They stopped.
You stopped innovating. I'm gonna give you another company, IBM. Bill Gates came out of IBM. He brought them the personal computer. Like, you know what? Go play with that toy on your own time. He did. And he said nobody's going to be at home playing using a computer, because they can only see out of their vision and their lane and what they were looking at right then and there. They could not see the future. They did not have the vision. Look at Steve Jobs when he came out with that mobile phone, and he picked it out like, look what I got here, and everybody was like, ah. And I think the first one was the AirPad Buds, right?
No, it was the little music thing.
Yeah, I'm thinking it was Apple. Oh, I can't even think of the name of it. But it had all the music in that one device, and everybody was like, "Wow," But it changes. So innovation will always change. That's why I go back to what I said earlier. Every 6 to 9 months, technology is going to change. If you stop, then you're going to get outdated. You're going to become irrelevant, and you're no longer present. So we've got to keep the creative juices going, and we got to hand it down to our children to understand this is very important, to keep applying your knowledge.
Well, Grant, and we've talked about this on other shows, and we will talk about it in the future. But the lack of financial education to the younger generations, to me, is appalling. I mean, to have no idea how a credit card works, to have no idea what to ask when you want to buy a car and take a car loan, to have no idea on how a mortgage works. I mean, and this is the reality of the bulk of America.
That is not right. And that is on the education system. That's ridiculous. That's like me. I'm going to pull up my game of Monopoly. I'm going to invite Chris to play with me, and I never teach him the rules. It's like, well, just take the dice and throw them out there. That's all you got to do. Like, what? And that's what you're really doing, because your education system, whether it's high school or whatnot, is only going to teach you how to pass Go. Well, Go ain't going to make you win the game. No. You got to know how to apply and buy property. You've got to apply that property. You got to then buy a business called a hotel. And because if you only play the game to pass Go, what happens? It gets so much more expensive to pay just for basic life. And that's what's happening right now, that I see it over and over again. Like, wow, I used to pay rent. It was only so much. Well, yeah, because now it's $3,000. Now it's $5,000, because they're playing the game of Monopoly and you're just trying to pass Go. Not going to work.
And there's so many people that just want to pass Go because you get $200.
And that ain't going to go far.
They just see that. They don't see, well, if I invest in something that I can have more than $200. No, I want my $200, right?
Yeah. And you got to go there. We're going to conclude here, and then we're going to come back for next week. I'm telling you, for everybody that's tuning in to us right now, have a happy Thanksgiving from the McGaw family.
Spend it with the family, spend it with friends, and do something happy every single day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. You take care of yourself.
Great, Grant.
Welcome to our TV network, your ultimate destination for all things exciting and essential. From mouth-watering food to the latest in fashion, health, education, music, movies, and news, plus thrilling sports and breathtaking travel. Our TV network brings it all to you. Tune in today and experience the best of every world, all in one place, rtv.network.